First time in here.
How do you
Yeah, right. Different uniform nowadays.
been doing this a little bit now? How are you adjusting? How do you like it?
Yeah, I'm a crafty veteran now. I've loved it. Sorry, I just ran down the street to get here on time. I've really loved it. I've loved the experience working with the ACC Network. It's been incredible how inviting and welcoming everybody's been and how helpful everybody's trying to be. One of the first guys I got to meet up there was Seth Greenberg. And so Coach Greenberg was at Virginia Tech. He recruited me out of Roanoke, Virginia back in the day. And one of the first stories he says is, "You got me fired." And I looked at him and I was like, what? And he said when he was coaching at Virginia Tech that I was a recruit that he should have gone after. And he actually went for a teammate of mine, Ben Boggs, who's a great guy. But Coach joked with me a little bit. He was so welcoming. He helped with some of the rapport because my first interactions with Coach Boeheim and Leonard Hamilton, some of the, I guess, more surly coaches in this league, some of the guys you got to break down a little bit, right? He was fantastic helping me kind of get through those walls. So just little stuff like that, it's been an incredible opportunity.
I heard you after the Louisville game or during the whole post game thing. What's your opinion about what has gone on the last couple of weeks? And you acted like you were pretty surprised at their performance?
I don't know how you couldn't be surprised. Right before the Georgia Tech game, I think everybody, especially around here, was all in with this team. And it's just been the landscape of college basketball this year to have extreme highs and extreme lows. And this has definitely been a low week. I think, when you look at Louisville as a body of work through the whole season, they have beaten great teams. And I think even the great teams in this league this year have had slumps. Duke loses to Clemson and Stephen F. Austin, for crying out loud. Florida State loses their first game to Pittsburgh. Louisville's no different. And, I do think this is a great basketball team, but at the same time, we're a play away or a shot away from things being either a lot worse or a lot better. And some teams haven't been as lucky. You look at UNC, and, they might be the most unlucky team I've ever seen. But Louisville is, an over-the-back call at Pittsburgh away from losing that game. They played a really close game in South Bend against Notre Dame. And they have been in close games where the ball's kind of bounced their way. I think they're really good, but I think they got to have everybody playing well together in order for them to be great. And I also think, when I look at when their best game was this year, it was at Duke. I don't think very many people will argue that, right? Pace of play. Michigan, I think, is an inflated win a little bit. They come out from Atlantis after all those emotional games, have to travel back here. It was a pretty incredible environment, I think, but I think they played best at Duke. Pace of play numbers better than they've been the entire season. And I think that when Coach Mack looks back, he's going to say these guys probably need to let loose a little bit on offense and try and get up and down. I think it's more situational changes versus like personnel and trying to move people in and out.
When you were playing here, did you ever have a stretch of games that you guys lost where you maybe felt like these guys probably feel now?
No, we were really, really good when I was. No, of course we did. Of course we did. Of course we did. We lost 3 straight, and we felt all the stuff that these guys are feeling now. I would love to have Russ Smith sitting next to me because he was our All-American, and he was the guy, people looked at like, what the heck is going on? I think if we can remember, I think it was 6 years ago last week, the Notre Dame 5 overtime loss. Everybody looked at Russ Smith like, what is wrong with this guy, right? Teams go through that. Great players go through that. This week, Jordan Moore averaged 3 points a game. For the rest of the season before that, he averaged 19 and a half or whatever it was. I think every great team goes through slumps like this. We were number 1 in the country for, a week, Kenny? 2 weeks maybe when I was playing? It could have been a couple days. And we lost 3 straight games. I think this happens. Right? So you're playing in a good league. I know it's not quite as star-studded as it was last year, but you're playing in a great league, and I think the middle of the pack has risen a little bit. I think people felt like there were only 3 great teams. I think there are 3 great teams, and then there's a big chunk of good teams.
Luke, Eric was talking earlier in the year about the difficulty of being on set or and taking your Louisville cap off and talking about the other teams. How difficult is that, and how have you kind of gotten through that?
It's definitely hard. Having played here and been a part of some really good times at the University of Louisville, I want to see them do well. I've really tried, and LaFonso Ellis is the guy. They really counseled me here, and what a fantastic guy. He's obviously a Notre Dame guy and was very, very successful there. And he told me, I think your job when you play at a school is to just call it like you see it. So for their 10-game win streak and through much of this season, I felt like Louisville was a pretty good basketball team. Early on, I thought the questions were in the backcourt. For the 10-game winning streak, I thought they were answered. Fresh and Darius playing pretty well, DJ coming off the bench, Ryan McMahon being a spark, and it seemed like all those guys, in terms of rotation, had big games. They had impactful moments. Darius hits 5 in a row. Ryan McMahon hits 7 threes off the bench. Whatever it is, Sam Williamson had a couple big games. My job is to call it like I see it with Louisville. They have not looked like a championship caliber team in the last week. You don't want to put all that on Jordan's shoulders, but he's got to be the man. And when things are going rough, he's got to step up and be the man. And this last week, they've really struggled.
Are you one of those people that think – I'll really put you on the spot here. You one of those people that think David Johnson should be in the starting lineup right from the get-go?
How are you going to ask me that? As a former sixth man, I feel very good about bringing a scoring punch off the bench. I think Dante DiVincenzo is another great example. Villanova was able to win a national championship because of his spark off the bench. I don't think there's anything wrong with bringing a spark off the bench. And I think when you look at the second rotation, including Malik Williams, those guys can pack a punch. Now, you got to make them more impactful, and you got to keep them engaged, which I think is the tough part, especially because there's such a priority placed on starting. And if you can get through that, if these guys just buy into winning games, no matter if you start or not, you're going to be more successful, not only individually but as a team. They are going to be much, much better. David Johnson played 25 minutes, averaged 25 minutes over the last 2 games. He played 17 minutes against UVA, which was one of their best performances. To weather the storm against UVA, when you're scoring 40 points, when they're scoring 40 points and you got to get 50, okay. When Virginia basketball scores 73 points and you find a way to win, that's big-time basketball.
Looking at the schedule right now, they've got these 2 home games. You get kind of the stock answer from a player, but you looking at it somewhat objectively, how big are these games for Louisville?
Huge games. You definitely want to see Jordan kind of take a step in the right direction after 2 rough ones, but you're playing now with what do we have, 5 games left? You're playing now to work on your seeds, not only for the ACC tournament but the NCAA tournament. This portion of your season is about over, and you got to be playing your best basketball going into postseason play. I think it's really important for them to get off on the right foot, winning your home games. This is a Rick Pitino thing, but I think it follows all major teams. You got to take care of business at home and try and steal as many games as you can on the road, especially against the top teams. But you have to first and foremost handle business at home. Syracuse is a good basketball team too. This is going to be a battle. I really think they should have beat Florida State. Buddy Boeheim goes over in that game. If he puts a couple points up, they probably win. Louisville's had some success against Syracuse, but I don't know. That's been over years and years, I guess.
All right, thanks, man.
Thank you very much.
Everyone.